Up to Unit 4, similar triangles. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and make the first 3 videos and hopefully have those uploaded by tomorrow afternoon so that you'll have something to work on all week. Still follow the process. Get a Chromebook and headphones. You'll watch the video and take notes. We'll work 1 or 2 examples in the notes. Then you can come get a practice sheet. If you want to work some of those practice problems in your notebook, you can do that, because I'm going to keep the practice sheet. When you're done the practice sheet, then you go get the mastery check for that part, 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, whatever. You staple the practice sheet to the mastery check and you turn it in. All of it has to be done in order. It tells me whether you watched the video. I'll know whether or not you did the practice sheet. And I'll watch whether or not you take the mastery checks out of the class. Please don't take them out of the class. Once you're done, move on to the next. You can do 1 a day. You can do 2 a day. You can go watch extra videos if you need help with part of it. I'll try to put some extra videos on there. Just do it at your pace. If you focus and do it, you'll be super fast. Just follow the process. Alright, Unit 4 is all about similar triangles. So, what are similar triangles? We start with 4.1, which looks at ratios. What is a ratio? You should be taking notes in your notebook. It should have a title. It should have notes. Ratio. How many are there one thing to another thing, right? So, what is a ratio? A ratio is a comparison of 2 or more quantities. Apples to oranges is a ratio. Fruit to not fruit is a ratio. Round to not round is a ratio. It's a comparison of any 2 or more quantities, right? So, for example, if I wanted to know the ratio of apples to oranges, it would be 1, 2, 3 apples to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 oranges. That's the ratio. 3 apples to 5 oranges. There are different ways you can represent a ratio. This is one of them. You could literally put 3 apples to 5 oranges, right? You could also put it as a sideways fraction. 3 apples to 5 oranges. You could write it with a semicolon, colon in the middle, because that's how ratios are sometimes written. So it would be 3 to 5, and it said 3 to 5. 3 apples to 5 oranges. 3 to 5 is your ratio. You could write it any of those ways. You might see it any of those ways. You need to be able to recognize that all of these are the same ratio. 3 apples to 5 oranges. Use this idea of a ratio. They can be simplified like fractions, right? So suppose you have 8 cars and to 12 trucks. What's the ratio? 8 cars to 12 trucks. 8 to 12 is the ratio. Or you could write it 8 to 12, right? This can be simplified. Divide them both by the greatest common factor. Both can be divided by 4. So the ratio of cars to trucks, right, if you divide both by 4, the ratio is actually 2 to 3. The ratio is actually 2 to 3. If it can be simplified, simplify it. It makes it easier to work with, easier to do the math with. All right, so let's see what this looks like. Example. A music store has 40 trumpets, 40 T, 39 clarinets, 39 C, just in case we need a variable, they're already there. 24 violins, 51 flutes, and 16 trombones. right? It says write each ratio in simplest form. So it's going to remind you to reduce. It's going to remind you to simplify, right? Trumpets to violins. Order matters. If trumpets comes first, then you need to find trumpets first. So your ratio of trumpets to violins is 40 to 24. Can that be simplified? Yes. The greatest common factor between 40 and 24, 8. Right? So divide both by 8. And your final ratio of trumpets to violins would be 5 to 3. 5 to 3 is your final ratio. But you have to simplify it. You have to simplify it. All right. Number 2, flutes to clarinets. 51 over 39. You'll notice how this one I wrote it as a ratio like this, and this one I wrote it as a ratio like this, whichever makes sense to you. As long as you can remember that a ratio can be written as a fraction. That's important. A ratio can be written as a fraction. Write it down. I'll be looking for that. A ratio can be written as a fraction. All right. Is there a common factor between 51 and 39? Your brain wants to say no. But remember the trick about finding out if they can be divided by 3? 5 plus 1 is 6. That can be divided by 3. 3 plus 9 is 12. That can be divided by 3. So I know I can at least simplify by dividing by 3. So 51 divided by 3, what's that? 17? Do you need a calculator for that? Was that right? Yeah. Right, so 17, 39 divided by 3 would be 13. So my final ratio would be 17 over 13, or 17 to 13. Again, if you want it to be super clear in your answer, turn it back into words. So what's my ratio? 17 flutes to 13 clarinets. Sometimes you need to be super clear with your answer. Correct, correct, correct. Whichever you like better. You're welcome. All right, and then let's do 2 more examples. They're down there. I need to fix it. No, whatever. All right, this time we're doing trombones to trumpets. So trombones, 16, trumpets, 40. Can that be simplified? I would hope you would automatically say yes, because they're both even. So we know that they can at least be divided by 2. And you can keep dividing by 2 until you can't go any further. But their greatest common factor is 8. Both can be divided by 8. So that would leave you with 2 to 5 as your ratio. 2 to 5. And violins to total instruments. Make sure you're reading, right? Violins, 24 to total instruments. That means you have to add them all up. 40 plus 39 plus 24 plus 51 plus 16. You have to add them all up. When you add them all up, it's going to give you 170. So, how would I read this? 24 of the 170 instruments are violins. 24 violins out of 170 instruments. And yeah, that can be simplified. I think we divide everything by 2. So your ratio of violins to total instruments is 12 to 85. 12 to 85 is your ratio. Good? All right, continuing with 4.1, we looked at ratios. Now we're going to extend the ratio. Now we're going to have 3 or more quantities that we're going to compare, right? It can be extended forever. I'll give you an example. Just wait. All right, but when you extend it, you still continue the pattern. A to B to C. What is my ratio of A's to B's to C's? Apples to boats to cars. What is my ratio? You just keep going. However many quantities you have, that's how many variables you'll have. Right? So, extended ratios. All right, let's try that again. Let's start with a simple comparison. It's not even an extended ratio. It only has 2 comparisons, right? 2 quantities. It says the ratio of 2 complementary angles is 3 to 7. So my ratio is 3 to 7. Good to know. I'm going to go ahead and make note of that. And it says complementary angles, which means they have to total 90 degrees. Find the measures of both angles. Because we're looking at angles, both of them are angles, we can use the same variable. You could use A for angles, or X because it's the most common variable. Right? So this angle plus this angle is going to equal this angle. So 3x plus 7x is going to equal 90. It only works if you remember that complementary angles have to equal 90 degrees. 3x and 7x is 10x. We're isolating the x. We're trying to find the x. To get rid of this 10, we're going to divide by 10. X is going to equal 9. We're not done. It didn't ask us for x. We had to find x to answer the question. The question was find the measures of both angles. So this one is 3x, and x is 9. So we have 3x, 3 times 9, 27 degrees. This one is 7x. 7x, 7 times 9, 63 degrees. So this is our actual angles. These are our actual angles. Right? This is your answer. One more that actually extends. All right, let's do this. It says the ratio of the measures of the angles in a triangle, 3 sides, is 4, 7, 9. Find the measures of the angles. So what do we need to know? Our ratio, 4, 7, 9. Good. What else do we need to know? We need to know if it's a triangle, right? If it's a triangle, it has to equal 180 degrees. All triangles equal 180 degrees. All circles equal 360 degrees. All triangles equal 180 degrees. Write it down. All right, so we have our ratio and we have our total. Because we're looking all angles again, let's use A this time, A for angles. So you have a 4 angle plus a 7 angle plus a 9 angle, and that has to equal 180 degrees. They're all the same variable. Just combine your like terms. 4 and 7 is 11, plus 9 is 20. 20A has to equal 180. Get rid of the 20 by dividing. A has to equal, what is that? 18 divided by 2 is 9. Remember, it's not asking for the A. The A is to get the measure of the angles. And our measures are 4A, 7A, and 9A. So 4A, 7A, 9A. And now that we know A is 9, 4 times 9 is 36. 7 times 9 is 63. And 9 times 9 is 81. This is your answer. It's asking for the 3 angles. You see how we had to learn about ratios in order to go back to triangles? It's all connected. Alright, now you can go get the practice sheet, do the practice sheet, get the mastery check, do the mastery check, staple it all together and turn it in. Short notes. You're good.